Hello and welcome to the QA Therapy podcast. Are you looking to improve your overall testing and quality practices? My name is Sergio Freire and I'm a solution architect and a testing advocate at Xray.
And my name is Cristiano Cunha, and I'm also a solution architect and test advocate. And we'll be your hosts and QA therapists throughout this series. In this podcast, we're going to tackle some of the most common testing and quality challenges that we all face in our teams. So if this sounds good to you, keep on listening. We live in a connected world nowadays, where we use our devices to be always online and do not miss a thing. We came a long way since the devices that just did and received calls. Now, they have become personal assistants and windows for the online world. This has shaped how we see the world and how we address development that now needs to consider mobile as a first-class citizen. All of these changes have forced us to rethink how we address testing for mobile. To assist us on this topic, we have a special guest with us, Barış Sarıalioğlu. So before welcome this guest, let's just see what brings us here. What are the symptoms that you may have been feeling that has brought us to hear this podcast? So ask yourself, do you have recurrent complaints that your mobile site or application is not usable? Or do you struggle to validate your mobile developments? Or even, are you losing mobile users and you're not sure why? Or do you have doubts about what to test or what versions of the SDKs you should use? Or even, are your mobile validations taking too long? Or is it too expensive to have all the devices you need to perform mobile testing?
All these are symptoms that perhaps you may not have a mobile strategy in place, or that one that you have is maybe not up to the challenge. Maybe mobile was never your first concern and is always relegated to the future because we fail to give it, let's say, its proper importance, or we hide behind the costs of implementation and maintainability. Most of the time, investing in mobile means making a mentality shift to think mobile first. Not only by investing in mobile testing, but also changing how we approach the development and delivery of applications for mobile. So let's dive a bit into this topic. And today, as Christian mentioned, we have here with us Barış Sarıalioğlu, our expert QA therapist, to assist on diagnosis and prescription on these symptoms related to mobile. Barış has published a number of papers and books within the software engineering profession and is a usual speaker in several conferences. And we kind of met several years ago before the pandemics. He has founded TesterU and is a lecturer in several universities. Welcome, Barış. Are you comfortable on our QA therapy couch?
Yeah, thank you, Sergio and Cristiano, for inviting me, having me here. Everything is perfect. I have very nice memories in Portugal also, so where we have first met. So I remember it always positively. So when anything comes from that part of the world, I am always positive. And today I am happy to be with you.
Good to know.
Good to know. Good to know. You have been here in our conference a few times, I think.
I think two times, and also except from that, I have been there for several trainings other than the conference. So I have visited your country, I think more than 5 times.
Oh,
And
that's good.
also, yeah, on by the way, on Sunday I am coming again. So on Sunday I will be yeah, flying to Lisbon.
So, if we knew, we could record
Yeah,
it, let's say, live.
we could do it, yeah, physically. Yeah, could be.
Anyway, so let's start by asking you, in your perspective, in your experience, why should any team consider investing in mobile?
I think world is mobile, so anything related to digital or software, I think, pass through the mobile channel. It is not like in 2000, early 2000 or 2010, uh, where those devices were mostly used like telephone. But yeah, I think for the maybe more than last 10 years, uh, we are heavily using those. Maybe you know that statistics. It says that on October 2016, the internet usage of mobile devices surpasses laptops and PCs, which is a strong indicator that mobile is not a channel right now, but uh, the main interface and the main thing in our world. Even we currently do not approach it with that term only, mobility, but we try to call it smart mobility. Not only mobility, but smart mobility. So everyone is mobile, everything is remote. So many remote working uh, companies are on board, so you cannot avoid it. Mobility is the
Yeah,
is the thing.
that's an excellent point. Actually, mobile changing from mobile to mobility, with let's say all these changes that happened recently, even push that further.
Yeah, and like you said, the shift happened with smart devices. Well, now we have smart devices that enables us to do other things, and we are all connected because of it. But it brings also a question or a doubt that is, well, we have a lot of versions. So mobile is so dispersed with versions, operating systems, and a lot of fragmentation. So how can the teams deal with that? How do they know where should they invest their time in testing?
Yeah, very nice and complex question, to be honest. So yeah, that fragmentation, diversity in mobility is, I think, the number one issue, and it was the case 10 years ago. It is the case currently. We have a lot of different devices. Last year, there were more than 15,000 Android devices that you can buy from market. So just I'm underlining it again. 15,000
Also,
different devices. If I would ask you just count me some, maybe you will end up counting 10 or 15 or 20, but yeah, you will have more and more waiting for you. So that side. Also, we have different platforms, as you have said. Currently, maybe Android and iOS are the main platforms, but we still do have some others which are getting smaller day by day. But yeah, okay, still we have different platforms. And how can we deal with that? I think we need to start by thinking the test principles. When we are teaching ISTQB foundation level, there is a very famous test principle telling you that you cannot test everything. So you cannot 100% test anything in the world. Even you feel that you have enough time. When the time is up and you are done with testing, if I would ask you, if you have a little bit more time, can you do more testing? The answer is always yes. So there is no ending. It's like an infinite journey testing. So you need to first understand this. You cannot test everything. You cannot test all the different platforms, devices, and screen types, and displays and resolutions. So you need to do selective testing. In order to do good selective testing, in my book, I have addressed it in a perspective. That was a book from, I think it is now 6 years old, but still we have the problem. I advise people to categorize their mobile devices into three. The first category is the main category, where the mobile devices are inevitable for you. So you need to include, I tend to tell people that you need to put there three devices, and you need to do 100% of your test cases in those regions. So when you come to the second category, it is like a backup stage where you have market devices, could be from 5 to 10 devices, in which you can run 1/5 of your test cases. Just 20% of your test cases would be enough. And the other mess portfolio, which are like on the sweeping side, on the third layer, you can have even more than 10 to 15 devices. And I would advise people to do just 5% of their test cases on those devices. So it means that if you are delivering a application and this device diversity is so critical for you, you need to do that selection. And in order to do that selection, of course, you need to base your approach on data. So you need to know where you are doing testing. You need to know in which country, which region, for what kind of applications, so that you need to go for the statistics. We are using locally some statistical entities in my country, for instance, that when you pay them, they gave you the statistics for mobile usage for any industry and domain. Also, there are global players like Statista. If you want to learn which device is very popular in Portugal, for instance, it will tell you the top 10. So based on those data and popularity, you can act. That is my first step into selection.
So I was going to ask you about how to depict, let's say, the mobile testing approach to cover this fragmentation. You already mentioned this aspect of categorization and also knowing a bit more about the numbers and the context for the place where we are at and also the domain. But are there any, let's say, other factors that you should have in mind in terms of thinking of the mobile testing approach? For example, we were talking about fragmentation, also about, for example, the version of in terms of the operating systems, for example. Do you also consider that?
Yeah, of course. You need to check each and every dimension. Which operating system is being used more? Which screen resolution is which device? So device is one fragmentation. Resolution is another. Operating system is another one. So there are many, but in most cases, what we do is we try to understand the context. What kind of application are we testing, and in what industry we are in, and what types of devices are currently heavily used in this portfolio. Some applications we are lucky because they just support several devices with some very specific features. But if it is an app store or Google Play Store application that is available for every device, then yeah, you need to check what people are using, then act accordingly. So in the end, you cannot test everything. So currently,
Yeah.
I think in years passing by, what we do is we skip more and more devices. We just skip them, and maybe we do more prayer-based testing. I don't know, because our tests currently occupy less and less percentage. I see that very drastically and dramatically. We are testing less, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Eh,
Well, I remember my first approach to my first testing approach for mobile was actually based on complaints. So the
Of course,
users that have more complaints, we tried first to
needs more
test to
testing.
prevent it.
Of course,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because we didn't have those data yet a lot of years back. Those data
Yeah.
yet back. We didn't even know what were the devices that our users were using. So we were based on complaints.
Yeah,
That
but
is not a
it
good
is
thing.
so smart, Cristiano. That is a chapter in my book also. I tell people that when you start mobile testing, first go to the App Store ratings and see what kind of reports are there. And also, even with the current features, you can even know what device the complaint is coming from what region, what language. So we are lucky, so that we have
all
all
of
the
that
statistics.
is
Yes.
yeah.
Barish,
Yeah.
before we forget, and since you already mentioned your book, can you just tell us the name of the book so the listeners can check them
Yeah,
by
just
themselves?
very briefly, mobile testing tips.
Awesome.
So yeah, coming back to the to what we were talking about, I remember that at the time, that experience based on complaints, we didn't have like a native application. We didn't have an application available for the user, so it was kind of a hybrid kind of thing, or a web. Actually, it was a web application that was adaptive and will adapt to the screen. But regarding these mobile applications, we know that we have like native applications, hybrid applications, or web applications that adapt to the screen. So what are the differences that we may have between this kind of approaches?
Yeah, is also another debate for many software development companies, whether they need to go for a hybrid application or a native application, or web is always a selection process.
Mhm.
For sure, in order to use all the device features and be 100% compliant to the platform, you need to go for native applications. With native applications, you will have the best pictures, you will have the best design, you will have the best fitting objects, and you are making use of all the ecosystem functionality, for sure, without any questions. But on the backend side, on the development perspective, you need to hire more people, because that most of the iOS developers, they are not that into Android development, and vice versa.
Yeah.
So that you need to have more people in your teams, you need to have more defects, you need to have maybe double maintenance efforts, because that you have two different applications. Currently, we have also cross functional development platforms, so that you just code once, and your application could be even an Android application or an iOS application. But still, if you go for native, that is the headache. But also, you have better features and better orientation. For web, yeah, also web is very known, as you said,
Yeah.
responsive and adaptive designs. You have better options for testing. Do you know, in software development courses, we teach developers the concept of testability, which is, I think, a very critical concept. In everything you do in this world, you need to make it testable. Anything you do in your private life as well. So testability is, I think, the very fitting objective for everything. You can apply it to everywhere. So testability, you need to, when picking the application type, whether it is native or hybrid or uh, web application, you need to also think for the test side. So with what applications shall I test this software? You need to also know that. By selecting a web application, of course, your portfolio is broader. But if you go for a native solution, especially for iOS, there are limitations, you know it. So that you need to have some orchestration, you need to have some tool orientation issues, security things, and so on. Yeah, that is a little bit messy. Web applications
Yeah.
are easier to test, easier to automate, for sure. That is the testing side. But there are so many and as I've said, device features like vibration, lights, all the sensors, they are more applicable to native applications. You can use them more efficiently there. So yeah, if you have money and time and resources and a good test team, you need to go for native applications. Is
Yeah.
my perspective.
I
So
remember two pains also going to native applications that you didn't refer, but I felt it in the skin. That is the release process. You touched it. It's really different because you
Of
have a
course.
marketplace that you need to adhere to. You have waiting times because of that, and when an error occurs, we need to repropose the application and make it available again, and that takes time, and that a lot of approvals, and also the adaptation of your system, because sometimes you build your system as towards a web application, and now you have mobile that comes into play. So it's a matter of making microservices available for mobile, and they have to have high availability, and all of those things also change. So these pain points also make a difference when you choose those
I agree.
strategies. So yeah,
App Store is a pain of
it's
all
a
the
pain.
time, all the time. Especially Apple side is
Yeah.
more sophisticated and longer waiting times. And I agree. So on the development side, starting from design, planning to delivery, you have
Yeah.
a different approach. So you have different steps. You need to
Yeah.
take care of all those things.
So, Barish, and I think you already touched a bit on this in terms of testing strategy for the differences for native, hybrid, and web applications. Uh, of course, native, as you mentioned, you have to deal with more broader, perhaps, scope of sensors, of features, because the applications would support that. You want to, let's say, highlight other difference in terms of testing strategy for these different types of applications?
Yeah, of course. When we talk about uh, different platforms, we have we need to do different testing for different platforms. For instance, uh, some compliance issues, they are different in native applications and web applications. When you do interruption testing or
You mean, sorry for interrupting, Barish.
yeah,
You mean compliance with the marketplace or
compliance with the marketplace, compliance with the device features, compliance with 4G, 5G networks, and so on. Because that your features are diverse, you need to apply for different standards. You need to follow different procedures in native. Also, in native applications, you will have more mm, diversity in your features, so that you need to do, maybe you need to do more testing. Again, your testing time would be more, because in web application, maybe you already have just an application which can run in even in mobile. Then you are spending less and less resources for that, for the mobile side. But for native, they are also doubling, and for each and every device there are device specific things you need to consider. For instance, interruptions while you are using an application, whether a call is coming or you are interrupted by an SMS message, or the battery usage goes under 5%, or you are using the device with an eSIM or not. So, contextual testing, I call it. So with each and every platform, there are contextual differences. The device itself is operating differently. iPhone is not operating as the same way as a Samsung Ultra device. So that they have different resource management, they have different battery management, they have different memory management, and also installation, uninstallation, the space, the memory space they occupy, whether you are running an application from the internal memory or an external memory. Also, their accessibility features are different. Their so many features are different. Let me sum up. So you need to take care of all those things as well. In most cases, we just focus on the functionality of the mobile application. We just go for that. What we skip is we skip the platform specific
Specifics.
things, which is bringing you the context. Without context, testing is just a dull process, which cannot, you are not sure that your application will run smoothly. If you omit all the platform specific things, then your testing is contextually not fitting. So that is, I think, the most important thing in native or hybrid or web applications.
Let me take that and make the next question relate precisely with the shift of context. Whenever we think about testing in general, and then we focus just on mobile testing, we have this change, or let's say this change, the generic change from testing in general to mobile testing. What are the major differences whenever you think about thinking mobile testing versus testing in general?
Testing in general, yeah. For me, from my perspective, testing is testing. Mobility is context. So whether it is mobile testing or whether it is you are testing an embedded software or some other thing from a terminal, most of the things doesn't change, but there are things that come with that context. So you have contextual differences, as I have mentioned before. For instance, when I am visiting a company, they most of the time they are proud of their mobile test labs, so that they invite me to those places. We go there and I visit the labs. I see everyone is stationary, sitting on a table. The devices are always 100% batteries. They are connected to electricity all the time, and they don't use
Good
any.
Wi-Fi.
Yeah, they don't have any SIM cards. They just don't use mobile network. They have a great bandwidth with internet. So from that perspective, I criticize those companies. So where you need to do mobile testing while you are on the move. Am I right? At least some portion of your testing should be done while you are on the go. Maybe while you are traveling in a bus, or you are in a very dark place, or you are using an elevator, or you are out dining with friends. So that is bringing you the contextual differences. Very lately, I have been involved as a consultant in a project where they were building a mobile application for a tablet, and that tablet will be used in a factory. So there is a voice command in the tablet. They said that we have tested it purely, it runs perfectly, but when they use it in factory, it doesn't run. Do you know why? Because of the voice. So the decibel level of the voice in the factory is more than 100 decibels. But if you test it in your bedroom with 40 decibels, of course, it is contextually not fitting. Am I right? So there are those things when I compare it manual testing.
And let me also try to give you a slightly different perspective on that. So you mentioned this difference due to the external, let's say, context, but also users they have, let's say, different kind of needs, right? Because a mobile user, I mean, from the expectation of performance, you expect that you to open a mobile app and it should really open really fast, or else you just basically uninstall it, right?
For sure. That is one another crazy dimension, the user
Yeah.
side. Of course. So users, when you are using for instance, web application sitting on a chair in your PC, maybe you can wait for 3, 4, 5 seconds, but there is a survey. They do it. They repeat it every year. They ask mobile users, uh, average on average, in what time you expect a mobile application to respond to your uh, triggers, and
Mhm.
more than 70% of people said under 1 second, and the rest is around under 2 seconds. So you see the impatience in mobile side, and also in
Yeah.
mobility. They ask people, with how many bugs do you delete a mobile application? Yeah, you just get rid of a mobile application by seeing how many bugs. They say only one. One is enough. If I see the second bug, I remove the application. That is why more than 95% of applications are used only once for users, which is like a mobile application graveyard. There are so many applications in the graveyard already dead. We don't use them because we don't have that patience. We don't accept bugs. In mobile zone, even we push harder as users. So these are,
Mhm.
yeah, again, very critical
It's another.
dimensions. I agree.
Yeah. And that crazy dimension also changes with generations, because I know my kids are expecting everything to be touch now. They want to touch. They reach my laptop and they try to scroll down and up with their fingers, and it doesn't work. So expectations
I
of
agree.
generations is also different. But coming back to testing in mobile, I remember back in the day that one of the big pains that we have was mobile availability. So we don't have the devices available that we want to test because they are expensive to purchase. So we try
Good.
to use emulators. And at that time, emulators were not that great, because sometimes it work on an emulator, but then we install on the physical device and it doesn't have the same experience. From your experience, do you think that emulators now are evolved enough that they are enough to do validation only based on emulators?
I think yes. We are
Yeah.
in a good phase in emulators. Emulators are not like they are 10 years ago. They are evolving day by day. Is maybe more than 98% is the same thing, but of
Mhm.
course they are not real devices. We need to know that. So for my approach is like this: when you are doing a low level testing, like unit testing, integration testing, API testing, you don't need a real device, basically.
Mhm.
You can
Yeah.
do everything on emulators, which will also broaden your portfolio of devices when you do lower level testing. But when you come to the higher levels, like when you are in the UI level, then you can go for the real devices as well as emulators, not purely depend on emulators, but you can add some real devices. But still, on the whole, most of the testing are being on the emulators. It should be. If you are supporting the whole portfolio, you should have more emulators than you have real devices, because real devices, they are still expensive, maybe more than the past, and you
Mhm.
cannot obtain everything every year. It is a great, okay. Also, there are device farms, there are cloud services. You don't just depend on emulators for sure. You can buy a device farm from a cloud service where you also have a physical device in the cloud. So they just
Yeah.
give you a physical device, which is like a hybrid approach. You don't own the device, but still it is a physical device, but it is in the cloud. So with this three approach, I think we have enough resources. So if you act smart, I think you are in a on a right
Yeah.
track.
You can build up confidence with all of those strategies.
Yes.
And do you think that you talked about different types of tests? Do you think that automation is enough to cover your mobile application, or you still need to have some manual validations over there?
Yeah, this is one big debate, guys. 10 years,
Not only for mobile,
for testing itself. And I was a strong defender of human testing. Maybe I am a little bit losing power day by day, but how couldn't I? All the domains and industries would be replaced by artificial intelligence. In the end, you cannot avoid it. So all the expert systems, from my perspective, maybe within 30, 40, 50 years, they will be replaced by AI without any doubt. That is my perspective. So testing would also be there. But currently, I don't replace automation with manual testing. I use both sides. For me, currently, I use automation for betterment of manual testing. I use test automation in order to make my manual testing better, so that I will spend less time but more efficient time, more effective time, so that I will spend less and less manual test time, but that time is very valuable for me. I am creating a lot of outcome with that time. And the rest is on the automation side, the redundancy, repetitive tasks, and so on. Mobility, when it was first in the picture, we were lack of solutions. Currently, I think we have lots of automation solutions in mobility as well, together with the device farms. So you can just find your fitting solution and go for it. I think we are in a good shape from that perspective. But automation, from my perspective, is currently not the main thing.
So thank you for being here with us, Barış. It was really a pleasure, and I think we all have now a better understanding about approaching mobile testing. So many clues for us to think about.
Thank you so much again for inviting me, for having me here, for those very smart questions. Also, they are hard to answer for sure. Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, thank you.
Before ending our episode, it's time for some vitamins. We know that in general they are good for our health. In this case, we'll be talking about vitamin X, where X stands for X-ray. With X-ray, you will be able to define mobile tests and bring the right visibility to them, either by defining manual scripted tests, exploratory tests, or by gathering results from automation, including tailored automated tests for mobile. Now that everyone has a common ground to discuss the mobile approach, it is possible to ignite the mobile-first mentality that will elevate your product quality. For Xray, mobile tests are just another type of test you can perform and track at the release level or at the store level. That means you will be able to define, plan, prioritize, and execute them. And in the end, have full traceability so no mobile issue gets lost in the way.
And we have reached the end of the episode. And as we have seen, mobile cannot be a secondary concern because we see mobile usage growing every day. Nowadays, everyone has a device, so we must be able to deliver the best possible experience to those users. Like everything, the sooner you invest in mobile and put together a mobile strategy, the less it will cost you and your teams to cope with it. Bear in mind that a mentality change is hard to accomplish, but if you manage to start with small changes, they will make the transition to a mobile-first approach easier. So see you in our next therapy session. Happy testing!
Happy testing!